What a week it was for Cam Miller. Fresh off an FCS national title, Miller impressed at the Shrine Bowl last week, being one of the most impressive quarterbacks all week long in Denton. Miller led North Dakota State, a school slowly becoming a quarterback factory, to 2 national titles and broke multiple school records. A guy who could have jumped to the FBS the past 2 years chose to stay at the school who gave him a chance. This is the story of Cam Miller, the quarterback skyrocketing up NFL draft boards. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know what quarterback you are most excited to see in the NFL next year in the comments section below. Cam Miller is originally from Salone, Iowa, a small town in eastern Iowa. His father, Kevin, played basketball at Loras College and coached his high school football team. Cam was always around the game of football, serving as the water boy and team manager for his dad's teams, starting in kindergarten and first grade. This would be a major advantage for Cam, as it allowed him to be around the game and see how older players prepared and conducted themselves. He was surrounded by a lot of good players, so it really helped him out. Miller attended Salone High School, where he would go on to be a 3-year starter on both sides of the ball, playing quarterback while also playing strong safety. As a sophomore, Miller would finish being named All-Conference and led Salone to the semifinals of the state playoffs. As a junior, he once again was named an All-Conference player, but his senior year would be where he would become a superstar. As a senior, Miller threw for 2,436 yards and 28 touchdowns, while also rushing for 840 yards and 12 touchdowns on the ground. He set school records in single-season passing yards and passing touchdowns, along with most all-purpose yards with 3,276. That would lead to him being named to the All-Conference team a 3rd time, while also being named All-State. He was also named Cedar Rapids Gazette's Offensive Player of the Year and led Salone to the state title game. He finished his high school career going 32-3 as a starter, throwing for 5,894 yards and 79 touchdowns, while rushing for 1,184 yards and 16 touchdowns on the ground. His only losses during his high school career came in the state playoffs. Miller was also a superstar baseball player, being named a 2-time All-State selection and set the school record for ERA with a .6 ERA. Coming out of high school, according to 24/7 Sports, Miller was a 3-star recruit who was the 10th best player in Iowa and 25th best dual-threat quarterback in 2020's recruiting class. He would not be given a composite rating and earned 3 different Division I offers from North Dakota State, Northern Iowa, and South Dakota State. Miller was the 2nd best quarterback in the state of Iowa behind West Sioux High School quarterback Hunter Deckers. Every player ranked ahead of Miller went to either Iowa State, Iowa, or Nebraska, while 5 players ranked behind him went to an FBS school. Miller would choose to go to North Dakota State, a decision he would not regret. Miller was prepared to play at a high level after his experience at Salone, saying, "Playing in those big moments and games at Salone helped to prepare me for the next level. Being a part of a winning culture such as Salone helped the transition become a lot easier going into a winning program. It felt like I was still at Salone, but at the college level. We are used to winning here, and I feel like that is the same at Salone." During the 2020-21 spring season, Miller would play in 8 games and would actually make 2 starts during the season for the Bison. Trey Lance would play in 1 game before choosing to opt out for the remainder of the season, and Zeb Nolan would take over the starting job after transferring in from Iowa State in 2019. Miller would start North Dakota State's final 2 playoff games and finish the season throwing for 363 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, while also rushing for 176 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. The Bison would unfortunately lose to eventual FCS national champions Sam Houston State, but Miller would be named the Missouri Valley Football Conference Newcomer of the Week during the season. Cam spoke on the experience, saying, "When I committed to North Dakota State, Trey Lance was here, so I knew I was going to play maybe 2 or 3 years depending on when he left to go to the NFL. I was fortunate enough for him to get drafted in 2020, which left a spot open for me as a true freshman. Not a lot of people get to say they got to play at the Division I level, let alone as a true freshman. I felt like getting that experience helped me coming into my sophomore season to come in and sling it without a lot of pressure." With Quincy Patterson transferring in from Virginia Tech though, Miller would become the backup once again. Patterson had the Bison cruising until he got hurt. At the time of his injury, North Dakota State was 7-0, and Patterson had thrown for 813 yards and 6 touchdowns, while also rushing for 660 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground. Miller would start the final 8 games of the season for the Bison, throwing for 1,444 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, while while also rushing for 325 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. He would go 7-1 as a starter and led North Dakota State to a dominant win over Montana State, 38-10 in the national title game. The national title was a almost sort of monkey off the back of Miller, who was unable to win a state title in high school. He explained, "I got so close when I was in high school, but I just couldn't finish the job. Just be able to do that here made it feel even more special for me, especially because I had not won a championship before. So it meant a lot to me. I'm so happy to be in a place that I'm at. North Dakota State treats its players the right way and does everything the right way. Makes everything so much better when you play for a program that cares about you." Following the season, Patterson would transfer back up to the FBS level, ending up at Temple, and the starting quarterback job officially became Cam Miller's. Miller spoke on the opportunity going into the season as a starter, explaining, "My mind is more at ease going into the season. My role as a leader has greatly improved since last season, and I feel more comfortable because I feel like this is my team. I am in charge of our offense, so obviously there is a lot of stress and pressure that comes along with that. I feel like I am in a really good spot now and am ready to lead these guys on Saturdays." Miller would finish the year throwing for 1,975 yards, 13 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, while also rushing for 561 yards and 15 touchdowns on the ground. He led North Dakota State back to the national title game, putting up a special performance in the semifinal matchup against Incarnate Word, where he would rush for 132 yards in their 35-32 victory, and then threw for 260 passing yards in the national title game, where the Bison would unfortunately fall to rival South Dakota State 45-21, the only SCS school who was able to beat them all season long, with their other loss coming on the road against Arizona, who beat them 31-28. In 2023, Cam threw for 2,688 yards, 19 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, whilst rushing for 629 yards and 13 touchdowns on the ground. He had 6 200-yard passing games and finished 11th in the voting for the Walter Payton Award. He was named second-team All-American as well, as North Dakota State would lose a heartbreaker to Montana in Missoula in double overtime 31-29, in a snowy classic I recommend going back and checking out if you have not seen it. It was my favorite game of the 2023 season. Following the season, Cam had the opportunity to jump to the FBS level and play at a bigger school like most players do these days. But to Cam, that was never going to happen, as he felt the decision was easy to return to Fargo for his 5th and final year of eligibility. He explained, "My teammates and coaches have poured so much time and energy into me," while his father said his son wanted to honor his original commitment to the program. Kevin said Cam wanted to leave an indelible mark on the program, and transferring would have diminished what he had already accomplished. It was important to honor that relationship he had cultivated over the previous 4 years. Cam would lead North Dakota State to a 10-2 regular season record, with their only loss to Colorado, who they almost upset in Week 1. At number 4, South Dakota, 29-28 in the regular season finale. In the Colorado game, Cam passed for 277 yards and a touchdown on 18 of 22 passing without an interception. He added 81 yards and 2 scores on the ground. North Dakota State would beat rival South Dakota State in the semifinals 28-21 to make it back to the national title game, where they took on undefeated Montana State once again. Miller threw 2 passing touchdowns, ran for 2 more, and completed 80% of his passes on 20-plus attempts, rushing for 100 yards and even had a 60-plus yard touchdown run in the first half. No other FBS, FCS, or NFL player this century has accomplished all of those feats in a single game. He guided the Bison to a thrilling 35-32 win, securing his 2nd national title at quarterback of the Bison and helping North Dakota State win its 10th title in 14 years. Miller finished his senior season throwing for 3,251 yards, 33 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, while also rushing for 631 yards and 12 touchdowns on the ground. Over the course of his career, Miller threw for 9,720 passing yards, completing 69.3% of his passes, and maintaining an impressive 81-19 touchdown to interception ratio. With his rushing stats, he finished with over 12,000 total yards and 129 touchdowns. He finished 2nd in the Walter Payton Award voting and was named a first-team All-American. He finished his career going 45-11 as a starter, making 54 consecutive starts to finish his career, and broke multiple school records for the Bison. The next step was going to be the NFL draft process. Miller impressed throughout the week of practice at the NFL Shrine Bowl last week after coming off his 16-game national title season at North Dakota State. He did not look rusty whatsoever and continued to raise his draft stock as he did throughout the season. While in Denton, he really took the next step as he continued to build his resume. Bumgarner from The Athletic wrote, "I really thought North Dakota State's Cam Miller was a good or maybe even tick better than Kyle McCord for stretches during the second day of padded practice. Miller showed a live, accurate arm in team and 7-on-7 periods. He also wasn't afraid to challenge over the middle, and his mobility was a factor throughout the week. He definitely could be bigger, weighing in at 210 pounds, but his feet in the pocket, mobility, and arm talent make him draftable prospect. A 2-time captain and 3-time college starter who showed improvement each year, Miller is absolutely the type of player in which teams like to invest in. The few things that are going to hold Miller back are his size and the fact that he played at the FCS level rather than the FBS. It also does not help that Trey Lance struggled coming out of North Dakota State, which may sour some people on Miller, but those who do sour on him because of that may not have jobs soon, as that would be a major mistake. He is a confident passer who sees the field well and never second guesses his decision making, which you love to see in a quarterback. According to Sports Illustrated, Miller was projected to go undrafted, but after his performance at the Shrine Bowl, I would not be surprised if he may have skyrocketed up draft boards after an impressive week. Miller finished the East-West Shrine game by completing 10 of his 17 passes for 99 yards, rushed for a 2-point conversion, and also had a fumble, as the East dominated the West 25-0. He finished with the best stats of any quarterback in the game, although Kyle McCord would choose not to play. Miller is looking to join Carson Wentz, Easton Stick, and Trey Lance as former North Dakota State quarterbacks to get drafted. Back in 2022, Miller explained, "Getting to see guys who played before me do it, I think that's really set a clear path to how to get there and do things the right way. So it is about me following the example that they set, which is vital for my experience here at North Dakota State. I'm excited to see where Cam Miller goes and what he could do at the NFL level. What do you think? Where does Cam Miller get drafted? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind."